Recording in progress.
Yes, squad, welcome to today's training. So, moving on from the first three parts of how to lead, not live, lead your best life, because the trainings are all based around leadership. So, if you haven't yet watched the other three parts, I do urge you to go back and watch them. And then Monday's training, which will still be delivered live and direct from Spain. Hopefully, if we've got good enough Wi-Fi, we'll be on learning to lead your life by mastering your emotions. So today, the ability to master your time is the fourth pillar of leadership. So if there's one way I think we can all move forwards very, very quickly, be it in life, be it in business, be it in any area, is without a doubt time management, productivity, and also the analysis of reviewing exactly where we spend our time. So, the amount, I've discussed this multiple times, but the two main reasons that people use for not taking action towards any area of their life. One is that they can't afford to do the thing that they want to do, which normally means that it's not valued enough. And the second reason is, over and over again, millions of people, there's so many millions of people, I couldn't even put it into perspective, is I'm too busy. I'm too busy for everything. 90% of people that I say to, hey mate, how you doing? How's work? Oh, busy. Oh, just busy. I'm just so busy. It's like people use it almost as a badge of honor. Like they're proud that they're so busy, or they're so busy, or I'm so busy all day, or I've always got so much to do. And the reality is, and I've tried this multiple times, and it's why it's partly on the planner, about analysing the screen time. The most busy people who I ask don't even actually know how they're spending their time. So I'll say, let's get that little handheld computer out that's in your hand. Let's go into it and let's look at your screen time. And then let's also strategically look at, the week before, what we were actually doing from 6 a.m. until 10 p.m. each and every day. And one, the screen time's through the roof, and two, they don't actually know how they were spending their time, just that they were busy. So if we don't know how we're spending it, if we're not planning, if we're not scheduling, if we're not reviewing, if we're not analysing, then the reality is we're kind of making up being busy, because we can't say we're busy without knowing how we're spending the time and analysing it, and whether it's in the right places or not. So without a doubt, every single great business leader, every single great leader full stop, is very productive and has great time management skill. And it's one area that performers absolutely nail. People who achieve the most are productive. People who achieve the most aren't constantly talking about how busy they are and using it as a reason for not doing. They're doing and they're productive because they have great time management. So, and the other end of the people is the people that fall into the disease of someday, one day, might day, hopefully, see how it goes, when I've got the headspace, when I've got the time, when things quieten down, when I've got a gap in the diary, is time management. They don't nail their time management, which is why they never actually take the action towards the thing that they say they want to do. So most people, and again, not everyone, but this was a conversation I had with a client last week who was resistant to planning, resistant to getting up and planning their day, resistant to planning their week. And they actually said, I'm too busy to plan. I haven't got an hour in the morning to get up and plan. I haven't got time on Sunday to plan. And that's bullshit, because the reason why a person like that is so busy is because they're not planning. They don't even know where they're spending their time. It's like a to-do list, which is like a game of Tetris, right? And again, some people will almost, I've got a to-do list as a badge of honor. A to-do list is literally playing Sunday league football. If we're playing in the Premier League, You know, we have a strategic plan for every single day, and we know what's happening. We know where things are chunked down. We know what time we're training. It's in the diary like an appointment. And they have a strategic plan, making sure that the valuable things are done. This is why that's another point on the planner. What's today's most important task? What are the three most important tasks? Not just aimlessly working from a never-ending list that never ends, that isn't organised. And, you know, that's what then not planning creates overwhelm. Not planning creates busy idiot syndrome. And I've spoken about this many times before, and it, you know, going back to when I said it in COVID, and it triggered someone into the middle of next week, because I said overwhelm is a myth. And my point was, I then said, the reason why it's a myth, because what overwhelm really is an inability to prioritize our tasks in order of importance and go about them one at a time until they're complete. Not do them all at once, not have them all on a list that we're constantly trying to chip off, you know, living from a tick box mentality. It's very organized in terms of what needs to happen and what's most important. And again, you know, her response to that was, well, how do you think the NHS would feel like this? Or how do you think like anyone who's seriously stressed and overwhelmed would feel about you saying that overwhelm is a myth? And I'm like, well, it's exactly the same thing. You know, if one policeman arrives at an RTA and there's multiple casualties, he can't deal with them all at once. He has to find the person that needs the help the most and deal with them first, and then move on to the next one. And life's very much the same, you know, whether it's a hospital with one doctor, or a situation in COVID when there's, you know, thousands of people that need help. You know, if they try and help everyone or do all the things or do them in no order, the people that really need the help won't get the help, and no one will actually get the full help they need, because it'll all be bitting and batting about. So we have to get them organised and go about one task at a time until it's complete. And you know, it's like the classic story, isn't it, when Molly-Mae just got absolutely battered into the middle of next week because she just used the phrase when she said everyone's got the same 24 hours in a day. But she's right. She really is right. If there's one area that's linear for all of us, and of course there's variables in terms of work and kids and clubs and commitment, but you know, we do all have the same 24 hours in the day. Whether you choose to be resistant to that and use it as something to argue against, or go, do you know, actually, right, yeah, we do. And it comes down to how we utilize them. But again, that's when people will fall into a victim mindset, because I don't have time, I'm too busy, I have to do this, I have to do that, it's different for me. Focusing on what they can't control, focusing on what they can't change, and using it as a reason for not doing. So we have to accept that we have the same 24 hours in the day, and we have to take action towards becoming better with time management, productivity and planning, so that we can achieve more. And, you know, again, something I wrote down here, there's, you know, people are very often resistant and judgmental of other people who they think have more time than them. And, oh, it's easier for them because they don't have kids, or it's easier for them because they're self-employed. And again, if you're falling into that trap in any area of life of thinking it's easier for other people and it's different for you, then we massively understand that we are slipping back into a victim mindset there, because we're saying it's different for us. And if we're judging and pulling down other people, as I've said before, you know, we need to get better, not bitter, because we do all have the same time, and it comes down to how we use it. And if we're not focusing on how we use it, and we're rather looking at thinking how it's different for other people, you know, that's a one-way hamster wheel to nowhere. So why is it that some people can achieve so much in 24 hours, yet some people just fumble through every 24 hours? Distracted, talking about how busy they are, getting caught up in other people's drama, not being able to focus for more than 10, 15 minutes, doing loads of jobs at once and then complaining they're not getting anything done. And as I said, often talking about how busy they are, and they never achieve very much, and they never get close to greatness. So why is it different for those two people? Now, this is going to be quite a different insight, I hope, because it's not about the apps. It's not about the books. There's thousands of courses on time management. There's thousands of books on time management. I bet there's probably over 1,000 different apps that aim to increase productivity and help you. But again, if we get too bogged down in, using these apps and researching and time management and reading all the books, like I've said, most people don't have an information problem, they have an implementation problem. It's not that they don't know what to do, it's that they're not doing what they know effectively, which essentially is the same as not knowing. So, we could essentially procrastinate and some people procrastinate and spend too much time on time management, too much time on planning, too much time on apps. Again, within businesses, some businesses seem to have meetings about meetings about meetings, planning and planning and planning, but they never actually get stuff done. So again, sometimes we need to understand that actually just taking the action, once we've got it into a strategic order, and understanding that very often, speed to market beats perfection, can also be a very productive hack in terms of time management. We need to get the strategy, but not just be doing that much planning. Some people do that much planning and revisiting in their why and trying to get everything absolutely perfect, when really we could really quickly nail, right, this is just the one thing that really needs to get done today. It's urgent, it's critical, and it's high value. Let's forget about the rest now and just do that one thing. Now, when doing and planning this training, studies actually show, research journals, not just asking Dr. Google, that only 20% of us spend the maximum amount of time doing the things that are important, actually working on the big tasks, actually doing the things that achieve results, actually doing the things that move forward, versus 80% of the time on things that actually achieve very little and actually just a distraction. It's the classic procrastination. We've all got a thing with a list where we can do a lot of things that we can prioritize, because actually it's procrastination and it's a distraction from doing what we really need to do. Procrastination is very much a misused term sometimes, because procrastination doesn't mean that you're not busy and that you're not doing a lot of work. It generally means you're not focusing on the things that you really need to do, and you're doing other things because you're putting off the job that's most uncomfortable and really needs to get done. Like the classic story that I told was when I had that mix for the radio station that needed to be done, and I'd just procrastinated on it for weeks and weeks and weeks that I had to be ready, and then 2 days before decided that I was going to rewire the entire studio because I wasn't happy with how it was sounding. Again, it was just putting off doing the mix that I was really nervous about, but in the same sense, claiming that I was planning and I was getting everything right, when really I should have just done the mix and caused myself a lot less stress. So being disciplined with your time, being productive and not getting distracted is an absolute master skill, I believe, that all leaders have. And it is probably the biggest key to you moving forward and being productive in life, is getting a handle on exactly where you're spending your time and making sure it's in the right places. So like I said, the system you use for it doesn't really matter. Do what works for you. Like I said, there's a million different options, but what's most important is actually implementing the behavioral change, implementing the habit, the habit of becoming productive, not about the latest app, the latest spreadsheet, the latest planner. Because if we don't work on the changes that we need to make internally with ourselves to be more productive, alongside that, we'll kind of just be the same workman, but with different tools, with a different app, with a different spreadsheet. So the two key things for me that I believe we need to focus on, again, breaking down into a day, a week, a month, 90 days, a quarter, and longer ahead in the, the 1, 3 and 5 year plans, is number one, we have to set clear outcomes. We have to know what needs to happen today in order for it to be a great day. If we don't, same as I said, distracted, other people's drama all day long. We have to be a little bit selfish and make sure that we're focusing on exactly what we need to have happen today for it to be a great day for us. Not constantly getting distracted and fighting out fires and leading, doing things for other people because they're pushing themselves into our day, and we don't have the strength to say, no, I can't do that because this is what I'm doing today between 10 and 1. I'm really sorry, but I don't give a damn what chaos is going off in your life that you feel that I need to help you deal with right now. That can go on a list, and I'll come back to you when I'm ready because I'm focused on my clear outcomes for today. And the second one, whether this is marketing and sales, right through to human behavior and human outcomes and human planning, is we have to set time constraints. We have to have the clear outcome, and we have to have the time constraint. Because if you haven't put a time constraint on it, it can last forever. You could just I've got this thing that I really want to do, but I've put no urgency on it. I've not set a date. I want to do this new sales funnel, but there's no date when I've said it needs to be done by. So again, we'll just drift and bit it about and not really get the jobs done that we need to because there's no time constraint. So set a sensible time constraint as well, and also don't do ones that create so much fake urgency that you just create your own stress. Now, the other thing is, and this is, I think, a great analogy for this to make sense, is why I would always look at the difference with, let's say, a workman or a decorator between a price for the job and a price per hour, and think which one is going to be more effective. Because what happens is, when people have often got a thing that they need to do and a set time that they need to do it in, that's probably longer than it needs to be. This is the classic workman mentality of they will stretch a job out because 8 hours has been allotted for it, even though if they really knuckled down, they could get the task done in 4 hours. So set yourself sensible deadlines, but also try to beat them by a high level of productivity so you can buy yourself more time. So again, if it was me, for example, and I'd set 8 till 12 on Saturday in order to do all the check-ins and replies, well, if I can get them all done between 8 and 10:30 because I've been really productive, then I've bought myself an extra 90 minutes. I don't need to string that job out because of the time that's done. Does that make sense? So then we will, if we do that, we'll kind of, who's done this before? We'll fall into that mindset of, I've got ages to do this. It's cool, don't worry, we've got ages to do that. Well, what if we just pretended we didn't have ages and we just got it done and then we had more time rather than stringing it out? It's like a nutritional version would be eating all the calories just because you had to, even though, you didn't actually need them all that day, and you could have saved some for the day after when you might actually have had a little bit of a weak moment with food, and then you had them in the bank. So again, it's the same thing. We're buying ourselves extra, not just doing the time or having the calories because that's how long and that's how much they were. So now coming on to the final bit, and this is the bit that you probably weren't expecting me to say in terms of time management, and it's also what I've analysed as my worst part of time management. That's including time out to relax, time out to recover. And as I said, I think it was Ryan that said it yesterday too, or it might have been Jess. The best analogy that I've heard for this is again we're duped into this because we're motivated, because we're driven, because we want more in life, we want more in our business, and we fool ourselves that the key to doing that is just working as hard as we can, as long as we can, for the biggest time amount possible, and that's the fastest way to get to the route and to the goal. And that is becomes the equivalent of trying to chop the wood with a blunt axe. It becomes draining, it becomes exhausting, you're not operating at the level that you can. And, this is when sometimes when people say to me, oh yeah, I do 16-hour days. Well, it's like, no human can be productive for 16 hours. And that people fall into that kind of, again, it's back to the badge of how many hours I worked. Well, would you rather take a bit of time out, relax, refresh, go for a walk, stretch, sometimes even have a full day off and a digital detox, get out of your environment, sharpen the fucking axe so you can come back and cut that wood productively? And that's what so many people don't do. This is why the events are so powerful, because there's very rarely any signal there. Yeah, AJ, slow down to speed up. Even Nikki V, who's one of my mentors, said to me once, Lee, the less you work, the more money you make. Because you're operating from a better place. You're operating from a better energy. No person can focus at a desk for 6 to 8 hours. I don't care who you are. You will not be productive after a certain amount of time. So, as I've said before, this is my worst possible trait, and I am definitely the king of doing all those things that I said not to do. And it becomes a dark place of almost just like banging your head against your desk because you're just tired and not productive all the time, and all the tasks seem harder. Who's experienced this before? I've maybe tried to get a nutrition plan done, or tried to write a post or a testimonial or film a reel or something, much later in the day when I'm exhausted. And it's literally felt like climbing Mount Everest. I'm getting frustrated, I'm getting reactive, I'm getting pissed off. And then actually I've left the job and I've gone to sleep, and I've got up at 5 a.m. and literally boxed the job off in less than 10 minutes. And been sat there thinking, fuck, was that all about last night? That email was so easy to write. But when I was tired, the email felt almost impossible to write. So always remember that analogy and that metaphor. It's better to, when the axe is getting blunt, it's better to take a couple of hours out, or a day, or even like when we do the events, when we completely reset with no phones, away from life, and then come back more productive with a sharper axe, and we're better at doing what we're doing. Yet so many people, no, I can't come to the quarterly. I can't come to the monthly. I can't come to that Lake District event. I've got too much to do. Whereas the too much to do is often so much easier when we've just removed ourselves from the environment and had a full day off and a digital detox just to clear the head. And it's the same with training as well. Again, I'm horrific at implementing this. So if you are as well, don't beat yourself up, but accept it as a lesson that you need to change. You've heard me say this so many times. Rest and recovery in any area of life is a prerequisite for optimal performance, not a reward for total burnout. Most of us only end up resting when we're totally burned out, or when we're injured, or when we've had a mental breakdown, because we're literally forced to take time out because of the burnout and exhaustion that we've created. Optimal performance is about resting and recovering before we get to that point so we can come back sharper. So what it means is, mentally as well in the day, it's removing yourself to get yourself into a better place. So if you start to feel stressed, tired, reactive, overwhelmed, snappy, mardy, that's the warning lights on the dashboard, not to smash your head against the pavement trying to tie your shoelaces another 100 times in the task that you're doing, which is currently feeling frustrating. That's the warning lights to take things out. And we know this. If you ignore the warning lights on the dashboard, the problem's going to get worse. If you don't listen to the rumble strip and you just turn your music up, you're going to crash into the central reservation. So when you're feeling like that, have a mindfulness now to understand, okay, I'm getting really tired, I'm getting really stressed, I'm getting really reactive, I'm finding this simple task really hard. Just leave it. Go and sleep for an hour. Go and walk for an hour. Go and do whatever you need to do to refresh, because you will come back and get it done much more efficiently. And you'll be able to focus intently. You know, some people, an optimal way to do this is actually on the hour. You know, a 45-minute solid work block followed by 15 minutes to just go for a walk, stretch, get some food, have a coffee, so the brain can refocus away from the screen and then come back and focus intently. So, what I want you guys to do is go back to making sure we do this. It's in the planner. If you're not doing it, please start doing it. And it's chunking things down. We have to get clear each and every day. What is today's most important task? Not easiest, not pain-free. What is today's most important task? That gets done before anything else. That gets done when the energy is high. That gets done when the focus is on point. And then we list today's next 3 most important tasks. And everything else needs to go away on a shit list with your phone in a drawer until they're done. Because then we can do the focused work. Then we can rest. Then we can repeat. Versus what so many people fall into the trap of, and again, this is why I do say that to-do lists are very amateur, because it's not a strategic day plan. They fall into this zone of seeing how many things they can just tick off the list. Like, I'm going to rate myself on how many things I get ticked off that list by the end of the day, even if it's 10 fucking pointless things that didn't lead you towards your goals and you actually procrastinated on the important thing and ignored it because you just thought, I'm just going to get all of those ticked off first, and then I'm going to feel better, and then I'll be able to operate from a different place. And you know, a personal story as well, when, you know, Paul handed my ass to me on this, because I was doing the same thing. It was in the first 2 years when Logan was born, I was just frustrated and angry all the time. I haven't got time, I'm so busy. I haven't got time, I'm so busy. I haven't got time, I'm so busy. Literally like a broken record. Like I probably wasted 2 hours a day talking about how busy I was and how much time I didn't have and how stressful being a parent had become. So when we put too much into one day or 1 week, and it's the reality of what most high achievers do, and it's unrealistic, we're literally creating our own pain. Because what we're saying is, I've put way too much into today, which isn't achievable. I generally rate myself on achieving things and getting some done. And then I spend every day adding more things to the list and just getting frustrated when it's not completed. So there's no sense of achievement. There's no strategic confidence. There's no wins. Because every single day, I'm basically chasing a list that's impossible to complete. And then feeling like I'm not good enough, and these self-worth issues when I can't get the thing done that was technically impossible to do. You know, I'm arguing with reality, and that's the mindset that a to-do list often flicks people into, because it's never ending. And then they get an email and they add something to it, and then they add something to it. And the reality is, if you've got a to-do list, it will never end, because the second you tick off 4 or 5 things, people just add more and more to it. And then they tick off 4 or 5 more things, and then they add more and more. So you just feel this constant sense of never feeling satisfied or productive because there was too much on it. Now, this final one is a hard one. But when I actually did it, and when I'm strict with it, it's life-changing. Get your phone away from you. If I'm struggling and getting distracted, I can lose 3 hours on Instagram, emails, messages, replying to every email as soon as it comes in, replying to every message and then getting into a chat, ending up getting a message that asks me to check something and going on Facebook to check the thing. Maybe it might be like, can you send me this that's in the group? And then going on your Facebook notifications, and then having a little scroll on Facebook. And then, you know, I've had this before, when someone's emailed me to ask me to do something that's led me to go on social media, that's then lost an hour of the day doing absolutely nothing, before going back and thinking, What was it that I came on Facebook again for? Drop me a yes if you've done that. Literally got distracted by an email, a message, or social media and lost hours. So many times I've done it and literally to that point when I'm like, what the fuck have I come on Facebook for? I can't even remember. And I'll go back into my WhatsApps to try and remember why I went on Facebook. Oh God, yeah, it was because Jane said, can you send me the link to the recipe books? So then I go back to Facebook and get distracted again. And then I get the link to the recipe books. And then I go back on WhatsApp to send Jane the link to the recipe books before seeing there's 7 messages on WhatsApp, which I'm thinking, they're going to stress me out. So I'll just reply to those messages now. And then people keep replying to their messages back and forth. Before I know it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon and I'm fucking fuming because I've not done anything that's on my list. And then I'm going to go and start telling people about how busy I am. When the reality is, I could have got all of those things done. I just spent the whole day distracted. Trust me, when you've got ADHD, it's a completely different level. But it's a different level at both angles. Again, if I've just got that list and my phone's in that kitchen drawer over there, if it gets really bad, I'll go and put the phone in the car and lock it in the glove compartment. Again, I can achieve so much and get it focused, but you have to have a handle on this, because if you fall into that trap, you will literally lose weeks. You know, for those of you at the business owners, you know, you should have a set hour when you do emails. Maybe, you know, even me, 9 till 10 and 5 till 6, that's it. That gives me a never-ending, virtually 12-hour response time to anyone. But if I'm just checking them as they come in, checking my emails, I've got my emails open on my computer. Drop me a yes if you've done this. I've got my emails open, I've got Instagram open, I've got Facebook open, I've got WhatsApp open, I've got LinkedIn open, I've got fucking TikTok open, I've got YouTube open. Whilst trying to focus on this thing and just seeing these things going off all the time, seeing the emails coming and seeing the messages. Stop dealing with emails and messages as soon as they come in. Stop allowing other people to control your time. Because if you're constantly on those apps, if your phone is within reach where you can check it, I don't care how mentally strong you are, you will spend your day distracted and it will destroy your productivity. Things like emails, messages, and Instagram and Facebook, they have to have very short set windows. And you dictate when you respond to people. If you've got anyone in your life who cannot handle with a 12-hour response time, especially within your business, unless it's an absolute urgent thing where a crisis, where someone's going to die or a roof's going to fall in on a house, or the kids need picking up from school because they've broken their ankle, something of that level, the other stuff can wait. Get your jobs done first. Be selfish. Because this is why leaders win. Great leaders are not accessible to people. Do you think Peter Sage is on his WhatsApp all day? Do you think any people that even are on his 10K for 6-month plan don't have his personal number? He delivers an incredible service, but it's very hard to get hold of him, sorry. You know, because leaders aren't accessible all day, every day to anyone. They're accessible very short times, either once a day or twice a day. And outside of that, they're not accessible. Because this means they can focus on their priorities. This means they can focus on what needs doing. They can focus on their goals, their mission, their purpose, their value, their growth, their contribution, and actually deliver more to the people that, if they allow them to, will distract them as a result of being more selfish with their time. And you have to remember, it's your time. Get very good at saying no. I've had to get really good at this over the years, you know, and not feel a guilt attached to it. Like, I literally used to be, unbelievable, and I would pride myself on my response time. I used to say to people, yeah, it's contracted that I never take more than 24 hours to reply to an email or to give you some help, but normally it's about 4 to 5 minutes. Because I'm sat on my fucking WhatsApp all day, every day. How am I ever going to achieve anything doing that? How am I ever going to do the tasks that I need to do to serve the people if I'm just distracted all day? And you have to get comfortable with saying no. And people will try and bully you into not saying it. Jess is watching, yeah. Jess has this with the dog groomers, and I had to get really strict on her saying it. Like, Jess, there's only that many appointments in your diary every week. And it doesn't matter if Janet's Labra fucking doodle that she hasn't bothered to book in for 6 months is now sweating in the heat because she hasn't had it groomed. That's her problem and her importance, not yours. Stacey gets it with the nails and the beauty business. Oh, come on, Jess. Surely you can just fit one more dog in today. Surely, Stacey, I really need my nails doing. I know I've only asked you at 3 p.m. on Friday, but I've got a wedding at 12 p.m. on Saturday. Please, can you help me out? And you end up saying, oh, go on then. And before you know it, your whole life's destroyed with other people's plans. And it's hard for me as well, because you want to deliver a high level of service. But, you know, I had to get very good at saying, someone messaging me at 11 o'clock in the morning and saying, hey, mate, I'm really struggling. Is there any chance we can book a call in this afternoon? No, can we fuck? Unless you're about to throw yourself off of a bridge, you can have the appointment that's next available in the diary. But when you are a people pleaser, and I am a people pleaser, and when you're a little bit soft, and I am a little bit soft, if you're not careful and you don't get good at this, you will basically spend your entire day doing things for other people and never getting the things that you need to do for yourself, and then being frustrated, angry, and reactive all the time. Drop me a yes if that makes sense. And again, it's the same with putting too much on the to-do list is the same with putting too much in the diary. Lee, can you do this gig? Lee, can you do this podcast? Lee, can you come to this event? Lee, can you speak here? Lee, can you take this client on? Lee, can you help this person? I used to say yes to everything. In fact, I don't think no was even a word that existed in my vocabulary. Before all of a sudden, every day was just an absolute shitstorm because I didn't want to say no, because I was a people pleaser. And that goes back to everything we've talked about not feeling like we're good enough. If I don't do this thing that this person's asked me to do, they won't like me. We all live in a tribe mentality. Then I'm not going to be loved and I'm going to be excluded from the group. So I'll just do it because I want to keep everyone happy. You know, almost like I'm willing to keep everyone else happy and let my own goals go via the wayside and my own happiness because I'm addicted to keeping other people happy. And I know some of you guys find this really difficult with nights out and events and stuff. So this is a little tip that I hope will really, really help you before I go, because you don't have to say no. It's saying no, bizarrely, even though no is the first word that every child says before mummy and daddy and everything, because all they do is the parents say, no, don't touch that, don't fall off there, don't walk there, no. So if somebody comes into my life today, unless it's something really valuable that I want to do more than anything in the world, Lee, can you come and do this podcast and speak at this event on the 14th of July? I really want you there. Oh, do you know what, Dave? I appreciate you thinking of me so much, and I would have absolutely loved to have done that. But unfortunately, July is completely oversubscribed already. It's completely full. Please bear me in mind if another opportunity comes aboard. That's how you deal with it. Because if you just say, no, I don't want to do it because I'm too busy, you feel like a twat. And if you say the worst thing, again, this is the same with the analogy, isn't it? Are you a non-smoker or are you trying to give up smoking? Are you going to teetotal or are you trying to give up booze? You're not doing it. You're leaving the door open. You're doing that, I'll see how it goes. See how it goes mentality. Hope strategy. I'm going to try and give up smoking. I hope I can do it. You're not going to do it. because you're just leaving it open. You're leaving that door open to fail with the statement you've said in the first place. And this relevant statement in that format is, I might be able to come to it, Ryan. I'm not too sure. Is it all right if I let you know? You're basically giving that person the green light to then hassle you. You coming to the night out, mate? You come, I don't know if I can make it. Let me speak to my other half and I'll let you know. Then that person's just going to hammer you and hammer you and hammer you. Same with the grooming the dogs. I'm not sure. I'll have to look at the diary and see if I can fit you in. That means they're just going to message you and message you and message you until eventually you crack and you'll say you do the thing that again distracts you from your own life and pushes you backwards. So by getting very clear that you don't have to say no because it's uncomfortable, but give them the reason, Again, this is the same what I have to do in coaching. I can't just tell people what to do. I have to tell them why. So I'm telling them that I can't do it and I'm telling them why and I'm giving them a firm reason that can't be argued with. That's a lot easier than just feeling uncomfortable and saying no and then thinking, oh, they're gonna be upset because I've said no. It's not about them being upset about the emotion or any of those things. You are already oversubscribed in that month. There is no time. I'm really sorry. But don't say I'll think about it, because then you're not gonna think about it. So the other you are gonna think about it and you'll end up cracking and giving in, because people will put peer pressure on you. This is what people will do with your day, all day, every day, if you don't get a handle on it. Oh God, mate, I know you're really busy, but can you just... And then they'll nag and nag and nag and nag. Let me know if you've experienced this. Keep chipping at you, keep asking you. Oh mate, I know you're really busy, but is there any chance can you? And then 2 hours later, sorry to hassle you and follow you up, mate, but is there any chance you managed to have a look at that yet? And I can get angry and lose it. I'm like, no, I fucking haven't. And when I've looked at it, I'll let you know. Just dropping you a message, mate, to see how you're getting on with X. You're subconsciously saying, can you push this thing to the front of your queue? And I'm going to keep doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it until eventually, oh, for fuck's sake, I'll just do it. Because the person's nagging. So get wise to those people, because they know exactly what they're doing and they know where your weakness is, and they know if they just keep nudging and nudging and nudging and nudging, eventually they'll trigger you that much that you'll just do the thing that they want at the, and then not do the thing at the expense of you not doing the thing that you want, because they pressured. So as I said, recap. So messages and emails and social media, guys, it's got to be 45 minutes 2 times a day. Block those apps down. Get rid of the distractions. You could be more productive with your time without doing anything in terms of time management, just by removing distraction. A bit like the not to-do list. Most people can achieve their fitness goals, their mindset goals, and their business goals by just not doing some things, by not doing less, by removing a certain habit, not doing more. So get that locked down, because if you can't, you will never be focused and you'll never be efficient. That's today's training, guys. Master your time and you will master your life. I love you all. Stay unbreakable.